Alright, hello guys, welcome back to another Total War Rome 2 video, and today we're looking at the brand new faction rosters for the new factions coming in the Black Sea Colonies pack, and Messiah, which is a free faction coming to Rome 2, and both of those are coming on the 20th. Now during the stream, in case you guys weren't able to watch it, or you just didn't get to catch it, they actually showed us all the new rosters for the new factions, and I took some pictures of the new rosters, and I'll show them off to you guys. Alright, so the first one we're looking at is Messiah, which they are a Celtic Greek hybrid. Now if you look at their generals, they have their Massalian Cav, it's basically kind of like a Citizen Cav, however it does a bit more damage, but it has a bit less defensive stats. And for what screenshots I've seen, it seems like they have a Celtic Rider, despite having a Greek horse, if that means anything to you. Despite having a Greek horse in their unit card. Now their second general they can use is their Massalian Hoplites, which from what I saw, they seem to be a straight up better Hoplite. Nothing too exciting about them, and then their third general they have available is their Hippias Lancers. Melee infantry wise, they have Celtic Warriors as normal, low damage but good damage units. They have Celtic Axemen, which are very, very good units, as almost all Axe units are in this game. We're going to be one of two playable factions who can natively field them in both campaign and multiplayer. Although the Getae and the RDI can both hire mercenaries. Obviously with Massali and the Boyai, who are the other faction that can field Celtic Axemen, you can field as many as your coffers desire. And then you also have stand for Greek states, you have your Thorax Swordsman. Spear infantry wise, we have Levy Freeman, nothing new or exciting there. Light Hoplites, and then you have the special Massalian Thuriosphere. However, they just kind of moved the mouse over just so I could see the name. However, they didn't get a really good chance to pause the video and see the stats. I'm just going to assume it's probably just going to be a regular Thuriosphere, maybe just slightly better stats. Then you have your standard Hoplite available, and your Massalian Hoplites, as I said before. Missile infantry wise, you have Celtic Slingers, Celtic Skirmishers, Peltasts, and then for custom battle and multiplayer only, you have Mercenary Longbow Hunters. Now what's interesting to note is that you do not have light Peltasts available, which might mean that in campaign you cannot get light Peltasts, which means you can't get Peltasts that are better in ranged combat, however they will stay better in close quarters combat. If you look at their cavalry wise, they only have one shot cav, Hippias Lancers. They're not a horrible shot cav, pretty decent. Melee cavalry wise, they have Celtic Light Horse, Massalian Cav as I said earlier, and Citizen Cav. And then for missile cavalry wise, they have the standard Greek state roster of Skirmisher Cav and Tarentine Cav. Alright, so up next, we're going to look at Chimera, or I guess how it actually is pronounced Chimera. However, I'm always going to pronounce it Chimera, because I like pronouncing things wrong. Because apparently I must be illiterate. I guess that has nothing to do with being illiterate, but let's go to the next faction. Now, Chimera is a Hellenic Scythian mix, which basically means they take two almost completely opposite army styles, and basically they mix them together. So let's look at their units. For general-wise, they have their Noble Horse Archers, as you'll be able to see. Infantry-wise, they have Chimera Noble Infantry, which seem to, again, just be a straight-up better Hoplite. However, they are a bit more expensive than Massalian Hoplites. So I imagine they're probably be better. And they're probably going to have Encourage, as most elite units have. At least, that most general units tend, not always. Actually, most of the time they don't, but whatever. Melee infantry-wise, they have Young Axes, which are basically only useful as cannon fodder, and in Spear infantry, they have Step Spearmen, which again, both of those units are really only useful as cannon fodder. In other terms of Spear infantry, they have Militia Hoplites, nothing exciting there. And they also have the new Scythian Hoplite, which is cheaper than the standard Hoplite, and they really didn't go over the stats. And by that, I'm going to really get to see them, so who knows? Really don't know anything about them yet. Then you have your standard Hoplites, and then you have your Chimera Noble Infantry. Missile infantry wise, which is really where these guys are pretty unique. They have the standard Greek Javelin and Slingers, nothing new there. However, they also have three new missile infantry units. Step Bowmen, which really aren't new units. However, no other faction in the game can recruit, playable faction in the game can recruit them. And there's some decent archers. They're better than the standard Greek archer. Then you have your heavy Chimeran archers, or Chimeran heavy archers, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what they're called. Basically, the more heavily armored, better archers that are really meant to help you against cavalry factions that you'd be facing in campaign. As I believe the description is something like, in order to defeat the nomad, you must adopt his ways. So basically, they're really going to help you out for taking out nomad factions. And of course, there's no reason why these guys wouldn't be good against infantry too. And then they have another brand new unit that they and Pergamon also share, the Light Peltast. Now, other factions have the Royal Peltast, however the Light Peltast is different. In the way that the Royal Peltast is more melee focused, basically being a godly swordsman, the Light Peltast is a purely obviously, you can use for melee, and does have some okay melee stats. However, it has 41 missile damage, and you're really meant to use it as a Peltast. Now, if you look at the cavalry-wise, shock cavalry, where they're actually kind of a bit lacking compared to the other three factions, where they only have step lancers. I wish they only had at least step armored lancers at the very least. However, you know what? You take what you get. Alright, melee cavalry-wise, again, they only have citizen cav. I'm not too disappointed there, because obviously I think most of their roster makes up for it. Missile cavalry-wise, they have step horse archers, armored horse archers, and noble horse archers, and then your standard field of artillery. The next faction we're going to look at is Pergamon. Whatever. But anyway, Pergamon is probably going to be my favorite new faction. Not only does it have a pretty cool color, it also has a pretty good roster, and it's probably possibly one of my new favorite units in the game, if it turns out to be how they say it is, or what the stats were, assuming they're not changed. So their generals, they have two completely brand new units as generals. They have the Agema Spears, or Agama Spears. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it. My apologies for those of you who do know how to pronounce it. Actually, please tell me if you do know how to pronounce it, because I sure don't. And their other generals, the Pergamenes Noble Cavalry, which I'm not going to tell you any stats about that now, because I want to talk about it later. Melee infantry-wise, they have Galatian swords, as Pergamon is a Galatian, Greek, and Hellenic successor state mix. I'm saying that only because they have some, due to the pike infantry they have. And I guess you'd say, since they do have very good shock cavalry, which I'll get to later. Spear infantry-wise, they have Militia Hoplites, Galatian Spearmen, which are some pretty good spearmen for their price. Thurios Spears, Hoplites, and then your Agema or Agama Spears, which are seem to just be a pretty better Hoplite. Pike infantry-wise, you have Levy Pikemen and Standard Pikemen. Nothing too exciting there. Missile infantry-wise, you have Javelinmen, Archers, and Slingers. And then you have Peltast and Light Peltast, and then you have your Picked Peltast. Which again, the Picked Peltast is more of a ranged skirmisher unit focused, not a melee infantry focused one like the Royal Peltast. Now if you look at the shock cavalry, they have your Hippias Lancers, standard for most of them. Or then you also have your Pergamenes Noble Cavalry. Now on top of these guys having a higher price, and from the unit card it's looking like they're going to look a lot cooler, these guys have like a 75 charge bonus. And I think they just have a straight up higher melee attack too. These guys are going to be some pretty insane shock cavalry, which I'm going to be really excited to use. And I would expect the builds focused around getting good damage out of these shock cav using some spearmen to hold the line. I would not be surprised. Actually, even pikemen to hold the line too. It also work. Melee cavalry-wise, you have light horse and citizen cav, nothing exciting there. And missile cavalry-wise, you have javelin, skirmisher cav, and Tarantine cav. Now, the last section we'll look at is Cultists, which is probably the most underwhelming of them, and the faction I'm most worried for a multiplayer. So let's actually look what they have. For general-wise, they have a Noble Blood cav, a moderately priced, pretty good melee cav unit. They have their new Colchian infantry, which if you can look at their unit card, I'm not sure how this is really going to turn up with the video as of right now of me talking. They have actually winged helmets, which actually from screenshots I saw, they actually look pretty cool with their winged helmets. They're Hippias Lancers. For melee infantry wise, they have Hillman, Axeman, and Cartilli Axeman, which Armenia all have for melee infantry wise, which I'm going to get more to compare them to Armenia later when I do my quick overview of what we know so far. Spear infantry wise, they have Eastern Spearmen, Hoplites, and again, they're Colchian Noble Infantry. I think they might just be called Colchian Infantry, I'm not sure. Missile infantry wise, they have Eastern Archers, Eastern Javelinmen, Eastern Slingers, and Peltast. Again, note how they have no light Peltast available to the recruit. Shot cavalry wise, they have Hippias Lancers, standard for pretty much all of them, I think, except Chimera. Melee cavalry wise, they have Citizen Cav and Noble Blood Cav, some okay choices there. Missile cavalry wise, they have Skirmisher Cav, which are very good Javelin Cav, with their 41 missile damage, and a unit called Horse Archers, which again Armenia has. So again, I'm going to quickly go over how I feel about these factions that are going to be in multiplayer. Alright, so now let's talk strategy for Cultists. Basically, strategy and tips for Cultists. Cultists seems like a dumbed down Armenia, as they have no unique melee infantry for them that Armenia does not have. Armenia has Noble Spears, which are a bit better than the Hoplites, and I feel like unless those Colchian infantry turn out to be very good units, you're probably not going to end up bringing them. Although they are, for me, an elite spearmen, they aren't too expensive. Missile infantry wise, again, Armenia has won the day with better archers. Melee cavalry wise, Armenia has Noble Blood Cav. They also have Azat Knights to add to that. Shot cavalry wise, again, Armenia has Cataphracts. Missile cavalry wise, I don't think they're any different in that aspect. However, I just don't see why you would pick these guys over Armenia. They just don't seem better than them. Alright, so let's look at Pergamon next. Pergamon is probably my new faction. I could definitely see Pergamon being a power faction. Now, obviously these guys don't have chariots, however they have standard pikes, they have some very good spear infantry. As Galatian spears are actually pretty good units, despite being low cost. They're pretty decent. Melee infantry, Galatian swords can actually deal a lot of damage. And obviously that Pergamene noble cavalry with 75 I think it is, charge bonus. That's insane. You're going to be able to crush people with cycle charges from these guys. And then obviously you have the light Peltast, which is going to cause an insane amount of damage with range units. I definitely see Pergamon being a pretty good faction. I could see why you would pick these guys over another one. Alright, so now let's look at Chimera. Chimera to me seems like it's going to be a decent faction. A great faction? No. Because the thing is with Horse Archers right now is ever since the Emperor Edition came out, Horse Archers they're just not as effective as they used to be. Obviously, maybe Chimera's new missile infantry might actually change it around. However, the missile cavalry it's just not going to have enough killing power. The Chimera and heavy archers and maybe the light Peltas will have the killing power. However, for actual shot cavalry melee cavalry wise, for being a nomadic faction mix, they're actually kind of lacking in that area. Which obviously, if they have better shock or melee cavalry, I would definitely put these guys as a power faction. However, without that, they're kind of lacking. Alright, so the last one to look at, we have Massalia. And Massalia, I feel like, is going to be similar to Chimera in the fact that they're going to be okay to good factions. However, they're not going to be a great faction. Again, let me see. Let me think about it for a second. Obviously, they're going to have some very good melee infantry choices with Celtic Axemen. However, they lack the killing power. Their missile infantry is kind of lacking when it comes to the units. Obviously, in the melee cav, they don't have an elite melee cav. The Massalian cavalry isn't enough to make up for obviously not being an elite unit. Missile cavalry is obviously lacking, and citizen cav aren't the greatest units in the world. Obviously, you have Hippias Lancers, but again, I just feel like they don't have killing power. Obviously, Celtic Axemen and Celtic Warriors have obviously great killing power. However, there's just some factions you would definitely not bring these guys against. So, alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys later. Well, actually, one more thing before I finish off is, and guys, if you have any questions, because I do know have some extra information about them, however, I don't want to say anything about it yet, in case anything does change. because we obviously did look at everything in the stream, but I don't want to say anything about that yet. Obviously, the factions are set in stone. The traits, they actually did get traits for the Balkan states actually got changed pretty close before it came out, so I don't want to say anything about their traits now. And then this comes out on the 20th, and again, Massalia comes for free as long as you own the game, and the Black Sea Colonies pack, which is on sale for 10% off right now, includes Chimera, Colchis, and Pergamon. And these guys actually seem to be pretty worthwhile faction to get, bar Colchis anyway. So guys, now I'll catch you later. Peace!